Hello, everyone, and welcome to the DK and Bill Wrestling Podcast. I'm Bill.
I'm DK. You seem confused on who you were.
No, I wasn't confused as who I was. I was gonna be like, "Hi, you're watching us on YouTube or listening to us on podcast," but
You're like, I'm Bill?
I'm Bill.
I'm Ron Burgundy? Was there a question mark on the teleprompter for you?
For the last time, anyone, anything
Oh
wrong,
man. I
Reed?
gotta watch that again.
I know
That's
that's a
that's good
classic.
stuff. That's good
That's
stuff right there.
that's one of my dad and I's favorite jokes ever. So
I'm Ron Burgundy?
I'm trying. Well,
uh,
but anyway, there's no confusing about who we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be talking about Jake the Snake Roberts. He's our feature this week.
man,
And
like 95% of the poll
I
goes to
know,
Jake.
oh my God.
Damn.
Thank
I
you.
was by a landslide, but you know what? Like in the next episode, we get to talk about the guy
Yes,
I've wanted to talk about for a long time.
yes.
I just finished his second book, Shawn Michaels, 96 to 98, which should be fun. But
Mhm.
today is going to be all about Jake.
It is. It really is.
So
Um,
looking forward to it.
but before we get into him, I was trying to see anything that we can discuss, and the only thing I could think of, because we still have a couple of weeks until this pay-per-view happens, is
Mm-hmm.
Backlash. Because
Wrestlemania Backlash.
I know it just sounds weird saying it really does.
Yeah.
Um, while the card is not complete, I mean, there's still 2 weeks until the show happens.
Yeah. I'm sure we'll know a lot more after tonight's Raw.
Mm-hmm,
Kind of what's
absolutely.
happening.
Um, the two big matches, more than likely, are going to be Ronda Rousey and Charlotte Flair and I Quit match for the
Yeah.
SmackDown Women's title,
Yeah.
and the unification match for the tag team titles.
Yeah, so that's going to be on pay-per-view. Okay. Yeah, I wasn't sure because there was a lot of like, I remember Roman saying to the Usos, "You go to Raw and bring me those belts,"
Mm-hmm.
kind of thing. I'd like to say one that I'm really starting to like the Roman Reigns character. And I think the fans are starting to like, honestly, like it's a bad pun, but they are actually starting to acknowledge him.
Yeah.
Like it's honestly, you remember like Scott Hall would come out and he would say "Hey yo" and the crowd would
Yes.
pop.
Yes.
It's the acknowledge me is getting the "Hey yo" pop now.
It is.
And it's like they're waiting for it. They're waiting for it, and he's like, "Acknowledge me," and it's like the worst thing ever. But then the crowd loses it, and I'm starting to like it.
Yeah. I mean, I know for me, I have said on a few occasions that this is the best run that Roman has ever been on. And
Oh, for sure,
yeah, I mean,
no doubt in my mind.
and we are probably witnessing one of the great title reigns of all time. Pardon the pun with the Reigns name, but I
Oh, I
mean,
didn't even catch that pun. That's
but
beautiful.
I mean, you think about the people he's wrestled on the pay-per-views.
Yeah,
It's been big names, and they've all, for the most part, have delivered,
yeah,
and they've been so entertaining to watch that it's almost like whoever he defends the belt against next, you're almost guaranteed to have a good match.
yeah, yeah. He's been having good matches. It's not squashes like he used to have.
Mm-hmm.
I always thought that he would make a good heel, and this is one of the greatest heel championship runs in like history for
Yeah,
me.
yeah.
Like if you look at like the long term champions, like from Hogan on, it's maybe a year.
Mm-hmm.
Um, a lot of times they would have the heel champion for a while, and then Hogan would kind of like overcome it and then win the
Right.
title at Mania. This is kind of unheard of. I'm actually really liking it. I thought it would get stale of him just kind of winning and stuff, but it's good. And um, I think On the WrestleMania show, I was talking about maybe The Rock and stuff. I really think that there could be Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns.
Yeah, at some point.
And I would love it if Cody Rhodes would win Money in the Bank.
Mm-hmm.
And then you could have that big cash in at some point. Like, who knows?
Yeah.
And that would be a way for Roman Reigns to lose the title.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't really hurt him too badly. And then you could have a Rock Roman Reigns match without needing the title.
Yeah.
And I heard Cody wants to bring the Winged Eagle. That's awesome.
Oh, I would love that.
Yeah, there's been reports about that's kind of the reason why he came back to win the title and to bring that old school championship belt. That would just be unreal. I would love that.
And I've actually watched Cody every week since he's been back.
Yeah,
he has not been stale at all.
No, he's been good.
Been fun to watch, and that's one of the things that I actually have to applaud WWE for, because like there was some weird thing like 2 or 3 weeks ago where somebody was like, oh, this is like the list of our top baby faces on Raw.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Cody was like the number 2 face behind Bobby Lashley, and no disrespect to Bobby Lashley at all, who I've really enjoyed as of late, but Cody, I feel, is the number 1 baby face in the whole company right now.
Well, yeah, like if you've watched Raw, like who has opened it every week?
Cody.
It's been Cody, and then he's set up some kind of match, and it's always been like the best portion of the show.
Mm-hmm.
No disrespect to Bobby Lashley. I'm like, he's been heavyweight champion. He has a feud going with Omos and MVP, who's with him now, which I kind of like that.
I like that pairing.
I like how MVP kind of moved on because he's better as the heel kind of manager, promoter type guy. But
plus, Omos needs a mouthpiece.
Totally. And I think I think Cody Rhodes is number 1 babyface on Raw right now, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
I would say number 1 babyface in the company.
Yeah.
Now you have Roman on SmackDown, and maybe they're trying to keep them kind of apart for a big moment, but
yeah,
I guess we'll see.
Yeah, we'll have to see what happens. But
I'm honestly looking forward to the Ronda Rousey match, because I think that they know that they kind of messed it up at Mania, so they're gonna want to kind of make up for it. Is this gonna be like an I Quit match where they have to like get them to say it into the microphone?
Yeah.
Okay. So sometimes you have shenanigans like with Mick Foley and The Rock.
Mm-hmm.
So I wouldn't be surprised if Charlotte won that way.
Yeah.
Maybe knocked her over and then has some dubbed I Quit from Ronda.
Right.
But I wouldn't be surprised. I really like Charlotte being the heel right now, and she's like, I won at WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm.
I beat you at WrestleMania. Like, that was really funny. It's working for me, so I'm looking forward to that match, and the tag title match at the pay-per-view should be good too.
Yeah, I mean, I was looking at the card right now, and it's actually looking good. I mean, yeah, you have some rematches, which is kind of what you get after WrestleMania, but it's still looking like a good, and like I feel like everything they're doing right now, or at least from what I've watched like on Raw lately, because SmackDown, I can't watch it every week because of like the commentary, number 1, but it just seems like they're building everything up right at this point. Like the Cody, like we said, the tag title match, Charlotte and Rousey, Cody and Rollins has been built up really good. The only one that I'm kind of wondering where it's going to go is Edge and AJ.
Yeah.
Because Edge is kind of doing this whole like stable thing of like, oh, we're giving justice and all that. So I don't really know where that's going to go, but.
Yeah, it seems like he's trying to like remake The Brood, where he's kind of like Gangrel in this.
Yeah.
And then he's got some. Now he just has Damian Priest with him right now, right? I'm assuming that I did hear a rumor that Rhea Ripley could be involved in this stable.
Mm-hmm.
We get the three of them, and you have a female, and then a young up and comer, and then you have the legend leader.
Yeah.
Maybe this is the way Edge transitions, kind of into kind of like a outside of the ring role rather than wrestling all the time.
And that would be good because Priest, I thought, up till this year's WrestleMania, I thought he had one of the better years, coming off of being with Bad Bunny. I thought he just had a really good year. And my God, I mean, people really like Rhea Ripley. I do too. I think she's really good. And the key that you said is they're both young. They're young talents. And Edge has a wealth of knowledge.
Oh, yeah. So and if they can ride with him and then be a stable for like 6 months, that will help both their careers immensely. So I think that could be another reason. Like, you can keep Edge where he maybe wrestles a couple matches a year, but he's still like on TV as a character. So yeah, it should be good. Looking forward to the pay-per-view, but let's talk about our feature wrestler.
Yes, speaking of wealth of knowledge, Jake the Snake Roberts is certainly that, a wealth of knowledge. People have said he is one of the smartest minds ever in pro wrestling, and I am not going to disagree with that at all.
Yeah. We'll talk about different things that I think about Jake during the show.
Yeah. So we're going to cover a couple of year period, early 90s. And honestly, I'm going to say this because I like Jake, but I'm not, like collect everything Jake. Yeah. I think the era we're going to talk about, 91, 92, I think that may be his best work. Period.
I think so. He, like in late 90s, I think he was a babyface in the late 90s. And then in late 1990 is what I mean. Yeah. And then 91, he kind of is a heel. Mm-hmm. So there's one thing, like I always thought that Jake would have been a good heel for Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
Which you didn't really see.
Well, I don't know if you've ever seen the WWE DVD that came out years ago of Jake Roberts, but they mentioned in one of the extras, he mentioned that they had recorded a segment because this is when, they're trying new stuff. And one of the things they tried is Jake Roberts having kind of like his own version of Piper's Pit.
Okay.
And at this taping, they had a thing with Hulk Hogan that was done.
Yeah.
And at the end of it, Jake hits Hogan with a DDT. And this is supposed to start this big, not a big feud, but supposed to start a feud with Hogan and Roberts.
Yeah.
The problem was the fans cheered Roberts when it happened. So they're like, we can't use that footage.
What year was this in 91?
This was, I want to say it was like 86.
Oh, it was old.
Yeah,
okay.
This was long.
Oh yeah, I'm sure there's probably a ton of fans that were anti-Hogan, and then they would just dub them out, and then they would just not show that stuff because he was the golden boy.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah. So late 90s actually a good time. I think we'll start there because there is an incident on the Brother Love show. And there seems to there's so many moments from the Brother Love show.
Oh yeah.
On this particular one, Rick Martel is there, the model. And he has his can of arrogance, which, okay, honestly, who didn't pretend they had a can of arrogance as a kid? I know I pretended. I used I used one of those air pumps as my bottle of arrogance.
I think we've all tried to be the model at some point.
So during this particular part, Martel sprays some arrogance on the bag. So Robert sees this, and Martel accidentally, in quotes, sprays Jake in the eyes. So they do this angle where for a few months, Roberts has lost vision in one of his eyes.
Yep.
And like they cut, like he comes back like a few weeks later on TV, and I've seen this particular Brother Love where it's like they're making fun of him, and like Martel slaps him and Brother Love laughs at him, and then Jake hits a DDT on Brother Love, and then you see his eyes, and like there's one eye that's red, and then the other one there's no eyeball at all.
Yeah, it was really cool how they did it.
Yeah. So that is eventually what leads us to the blindfold match at WrestleMania 7.
Yeah.
Between Martel and Roberts. And that match is all, from what I've seen, like the opinion of that match is split. Like, I know some people really hate the match. I know some people that like the match. I'm kind of on the, it's all right.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same. I'm like in the middle. Like, it's kind of neat how they did it, but well, it was all about the storyline, right?
Yeah.
He was blind.
Yeah.
He couldn't see. So then it would be unfair if they had a regular match. So
right.
Like, the blindfolds on, and it was kind of comical. But that's the thing. It turned into a comedy match, and when maybe it could have been better if they didn't go down that road.
Yeah, but fortunately, I don't think we really ever got I know we never got a blindfold match on pay-per-view ever again, but
weird.
Yeah. Maybe for the best. Not one of the worst ideas ever. I'll say it's not one of the worst.
Do you think they could see? And it was just
Yeah. I think there might have been some, like
I think it was very, very good acting, because there was a lot of times where it actually looked like they were blindfolded and couldn't see anything. So.
Yeah. So after that, Jake's next feud is with Earthquake. And it starts when Earthquake is coming down for a match, and Jake is still there. He's got Damian with him, his faithful sidekick. And Earthquake stops. And this is basically, he's scared of snakes. So that's how that feud begins. And then, depending on how you were, because I don't remember seeing this as a kid, but I'm sure some of our members remember this, watching it when it happens. Jake the Snake gets tied up into the ropes a few weeks later. Earthquake grabs the bag and he does the Earthquake splash onto Damian.
Yeah. Man. Where's PETA, right?
Well, it was said in an interview many years later.
Yeah, it's like a hamburger.
It was like hamburger. Yeah.
I heard that they put like a remote control something, so like they hit a button and it looked like it was moving around.
Yeah.
It's still kind of cool though.
But
a bag of hamburger that Earthquake was dropping his ass on. So.
Yeah. But the way like they did it on TV, because like
it was on Superstars, right? So
it was on Superstars.
So I'm sure they could like kind of edit the film and stuff and make it look good.
Yeah. So Damian has passed on, and now we get Damian's big brother, Lucifer.
Yeah.
And I've seen a house show match like a few months later with the two of them, because basically it ends on house shows. Like a lot of the feuds end on the house shows.
Yeah.
And I've seen the one with Jake and Earthquake from MSG. I want to say it was like June or July of that year. And what's so funny is Andre is in the corner of Jake, when a few years prior, Andre was the one that was scared of snakes.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think they used that bit a few times in different rivalries with Jake.
Yeah. But then we get something very different. And this is where it gets really good. So Jake Roberts goes on the funeral parlor again on Superstars. We're going to be saying Superstars a lot, I think, in this one. So,
well, this is pre Monday Night Raw, so
oh God, yeah,
Stars was kind of like their
that was
main
their A show.
That was their show to get them from show to show.
It was like Superstars was Raw,
Saturday night's main event.
And, yeah, and Wrestling Challenge was their SmackDown.
Yeah,
that's a good.
But it wasn't. Was that show every week?
Yeah, both shows.
At this time? Okay.
So, Warriors had a feud with Undertaker, and Jake Roberts is like, I'm going to show the Warrior the ways of the dark side. And they do these vignettes. And it culminates in the famous or infamous, depending on how you look at it, bit where Warrior is in a room full of snakes and he gets bitten by a cobra.
Yep.
Although this one is a remote cobra, remote controlled cobra.
Yep.
And here's Undertaker there with Jake. And that's kind of like the first part of the official turn. The second part of it comes at SummerSlam at the wedding reception, which is, oh my God, it's so funny to watch. Like that whole bit, because they open the presents, Randy and Elizabeth do, and there's a cobra. And Savage gets knocked down, and here's Taker and Roberts. Jake grabs the snake, and he tries to put it in Elizabeth's face before Sid Justice comes out to make the save. Now, this night is interesting because we'll talk about this night when we get to the Warrior at some point. The original angle was Roberts and the Warrior after SummerSlam. But because the Warrior held Vince McMahon up for ransom, basically, we never got that angle.
That was in 90. I thought the Warrior held up was 92.
No, 90. It was 91.
91 after SummerSlam?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And that's right after okay. I'm thinking 92 for some reason. Okay, 91 SummerSlam.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
So now Jake has become full-fledged bad guy.
Yeah.
And at first, this is one of, okay, DK, I'm going to say it right now. Like 91 into 92 is like one of my favorite times to watch wrestling, like especially WWF.
Yeah.
Because it's still family entertainment, but it's different.
Yeah, it's a little bit different.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. Especially like with the Randy Savage and the snake and stuff. I'm sure we're getting to that.
So they're building up to Roberts and Sid leading teams at Survivor Series that year. But Sid has an injury. I don't know if it's playing softball or not, but anyway.
Him and his softball, right?
I know. But now we get another storyline because, it's like one bad thing happens, but then you end up getting something even better. And what becomes of it is reinstate the Macho Man because of what happened with Elizabeth. Mm-hmm. So there's like this whole thing where the teammates, of Sid for Survivor Series were like, reinstate him. We want to know, reinstate him or not. And then there's even like a 900 number to call to be like, do you want him reinstated or not?
You want to spend $3?
Yes.
So we can calculate your vote.
Yes.
And listen to an automated wrestler. Man.
And you know what?
I spent a lot of those calls.
Parents'
money. So
I did call that 900 number when I was.
So did I. But, I'm pretty sure I did that too.
But I asked my parents, because for some reason I was the responsible one at 6. But that's neither here nor there.
There you go. Good for you.
Now we get to, this is still one of my, oh my God, I remember this to this day watching this. It is the Superstars before the Survivor Series. We're like 4 or 5 days away from it. And it's like, is Randy going to get it reinstated?
Yeah.
Roberts has a match, wins, pretty easy. Then he calls out Savage, eggs him on. And this is where we get one of my earliest childhood memories. And I've told my nephews the story of watching this.
Mm-hmm.
They tie Roberts to the rope, or he ties Savage to the rope.
Yeah.
He gets a cobra out.
Yeah, like you do.
Yeah, like anyone does.
I just got a cobra here. No big deal. Brought it in my carry-on bag.
He grabs the cobra, and the cobra bites Randy's arm. And as soon as that happens, Piper's like, I'm out of here. And he's running down. And then Vince is like, oh, no, this is one of the worst things that's ever happened.
Well, they couldn't get the cobra off. Like, it was devenomized, but it wouldn't stop. You could even see Jake. Like, you could see Jake. He's like trying to get him off, like without seeming like he's helping him. But it was like, people are like, oh, he was devenomized. Okay, how about you sit there and have a cobra bite your bicep for like 5 minutes?
Mm-hmm.
Like, people, okay, maybe he won't die from it, but it freaking hurts.
Right. So they do this bit. It is unbelievable. Like, I remember, like, I was watching, and like part of like little me was kind of hiding from seeing it, but I had to see it.
Of course. Yeah, it was like one of those things like you will look away because you're a Macho Man fan.
Right.
Like, oh my God.
And then it's also like, oh, excuse me a minute. I had a string on my shirt.
You got a cobra stuck to you or something?
No. No, but it's like, and then like they're running, and then Vince is like, I hope it is devenomized. And
did you hear the story about Macho Man not trusting Jake?
Yeah, please tell that story. Please tell that story. I love this story.
Please let him bite you first.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, and then Jake's like, it's devenomized. Don't worry about it. Oh, yeah, you have him bite you first, man. And I'm like Randy's just like thinking that Jake's trying to, like, this, like, Randy was like, he was one of those guys. He just didn't trust anybody.
But to be fair, I mean, Jake is a professional, but I kind of side with Randy on this one. I'm
like, whose job was it to devenomize the snake? I don't think that would be Jake's job. That would be someone at WWE. So like, I'm sure Jake's like, yeah, they gave it to me. He's devenomized. Right. Obviously.
Right.
Oh, I don't trust you. And I know my Macho Man impression's not good, but
so because of this, because of Randy getting bitten by a snake, Randy is reinstated, and Randy and Jake are going to have a match at a special event called This Tuesday in Texas. Or Tuesday.
For an hour and a half show, that's kind of a big event in history, eh?
It is.
I'd like to do a show on Tuesday in Texas one day.
There's a lot that happens on a 2-hour show.
I think it's like an hour and 20 minutes or something. It's not even long. So we could do a full watch along of that, actually.
I would love to do that. That's a fun show.
Yeah, and it's not too long, so that would work.
By the way, folks, for anyone that cares, Elon Musk has bought Twitter for $44 billion. But
good. I heard. Now let's transition to sports for a second.
Yes.
I heard that if you tweet, who them Cowboys or how about them Cowboys, you're immediately banned from Twitter.
Yeah.
So I know you're a Washington whatever we're calling them fan. So I know you're not a Cowboy hater. Are you a Redskins fan? Are you a Commanders fan? Are you still the football team? Let's transition from Jake for 1 minute. I'm curious. Let's go Commanders. See, that's lame. That's lame. I don't know what it's going to be like. You got Carson Wentz as your quarterback. I don't know what's going to happen, man.
Here's the thing. I was raised on them being the Washington Redskins.
Yeah. Okay.
I probably will always call them that for the rest of my life because of what I grew up on.
Yeah.
I will root for the team no matter what.
Okay.
So, if they're the Commanders, I'll root for the Commanders. If they're the football team, I'll root for the football team.
Yeah, as soon as I got used to the name, the football team, they changed it. I was okay with the football team. And since we're talking Washington, are you also a Capitals supporter
Yes,
in
big
hockey?
time. Big
Okay,
time.
because I'm from Calgary. I'm a big Flames fan. Both our teams are going in the playoffs. It would be great if it was Flames versus Capitals in the finals. Could have some
I
fun.
actually I got nothing against the Flames. So
That's good. Well,
yeah.
yeah. Well, me the same with the Capitals because it's opposite conference, and
Yeah.
I wish your team well in the playoffs.
Yeah,
It's
I
going
just
to
I
be
just
going to be tough, but
I just hope Ovechkin is all right.
yeah. I heard that
That's
he got a little dinged up yesterday.
Yeah. Well, there's only what, like 2 or 3 games left. He could rest for a couple games and then
Yep. I think the playoffs start on Monday, so
yeah,
he
rest
got
him
an
for a
entire
couple
week.
days. Take this week off and then
Yep.
because you've already got your 50 goals for the season.
Yep.
Just rest this week and then
Yep.
get ready
For
for whoever we play, either Carolina or the Rangers or Florida or whoever.
Yeah.
So
Let's transition back to Jake.
yes,
But,
transition back to 1991 and Tuesday in Texas, where we have the Robert Savage match.
yeah.
And this, oh my God, this is another one I remember like it was yesterday. Heated match, Savage wins. But it's post-match that is legendary. Savage tries to get more of Roberts. Roberts hits him with a DDT. Roberts goes outside. He grabs a bag. Uh-oh. Remember what happened last time.
Yep.
Here comes Elizabeth running down to the ring. She's protecting Randy. And Jake is belittling, like he's like basically degrading Elizabeth. Yeah.
Full heel here.
Mm-hmm. And then what he does next is considered back then the unthinkable. He grabs Elizabeth, yells at her, and then slaps Elizabeth across the face. And it's like, oh my God.
Yeah. This isn't the Attitude Era when everybody was stunning, like Stone Cold stunners on
exactly.
women. This is different.
It's 1991. We're still in the days of good guy versus bad guy,
Yeah, I'm really, and it was a family kind of characters and stuff.
Yeah.
So that was big.
And I love Gorilla Monsoon's like reaction. He's like, he should be suspended for life.
That was a good Gorilla.
And then Jake's post-match promo is so creepy.
Yeah.
It is so good.
I'm glad you said that because that's one thing that set Jake apart from everybody else. Like everybody else in that era, when they're doing promos, they were loud, they were yelling, they were right in the face. Like look at a Hulk Hogan promo.
Oh God,
he's yelling at Mean Gene, he's flexing, he's trying to intimidate you. Jake would just talk so softly, and he would get to the point.
Yeah,
like a snake. Like I still think Jake is the best promo ever, and just the way he did it, like no one else ever did it like that. And I don't think there's been anybody that's really done it since.
And the other thing with Jake and his promos, because it was very seldom that he raised his voice, but when he did it, it mattered for a reason. And that's what makes him so good. And I think the younger generation of today, if you want to watch how a promo is done, just watch Jake Roberts talk for like 10 minutes.
Watch his WrestleMania 6 promo.
Yes. That is
Now I
the
know that
goat.
was 90, so we didn't touch it with our show, but that promo, if
That's the goat of
I've
promo.
I've heard that in promo class at NXT, they'll play that promo. I'm like, this is a little different than what you see anyone else do, but this is the goat of promos.
Yeah, it is. Like, it's just so done. It's done so perfectly.
Yeah, it's poetic.
It is. And the other thing, this is something to remember, his promos were never scripted. They were never written for him. He did it all by himself. He used a thing called the brain, which a lot of people tend not to use these days. So
yeah, that's the thing with wrestling now. Like, I think a lot of the promos are written.
Like, if you want to watch, real quick, if you want to watch people who do really good promos today, watch Cody. Like, the promo after WrestleMania was really good.
Oh yeah.
Watch Punk. Watch MJF. Those are the guys that can cut and deliver great promos. And like 95% of their promos are not scripted. There's like that very little bit. But when they do cut promos, it's worth something. It's worth watching.
That's one thing with Punk. He's the closest to Jake for me.
Yeah.
For how they do their promos. Because Punk isn't standing there yelling in the microphone like he is sometimes when he was complaining about WWE when he came back to AEW or went to AEW for the first time. But though it's just a similar style.
Yeah.
Like, Jake is like the GOAT. Like, I'm not saying CM Punk is the same as Jake, but he's the closest comparable for me.
Yeah. So now we get into 92, and they do meet paths in the Rumble, and Savage eliminates Jake. And then at the same time, Randy eliminates himself, even though the referees don't count the elimination. That's another story for another day.
Yeah, why do you think they did that? You think they realized what happened, or
I don't know. That's the thing.
You just jumped over the ropes, man.
I kind of joke and say we have the Randy Savage rule, where like if you eliminate yourself, I don't know. That's one of those things that it's kind of just for poops and
giggles. It's like in our last episode with the Rumble, like when they went through the table, but no one. You have to have an offensive move.
Right.
I can jump over the rope. But if you throw me, then I'm out. If I jump over, I'm good.
Right. And then
they could have like a challenge, like, oh, okay, he's kind of getting thrown, but he jumped a little bit, so let's look at the different angles.
And then you probably
make Royal Rumbles even longer.
And then you probably will hear me 1,000 miles away complaining about that and be like,
oh yeah,
he eliminated himself. He's out of the match. Why is he eliminated? You still
I love it.
I know. So the feud eventually concludes on Saturday night's main event, which was their special like network show that they would have a few times a year.
Yeah.
So they have the match. Savage wins the match. And, they do the celebration. That's the end of the show. Then we get another great bit. And this is like, see, this is the thing. I don't remember if this aired when it happened or not, because my memory's kind of fogged on this. But Roberts is in the back. He's got a chair. And he's going to whack the first person that comes through that curtain. Like, he doesn't care who it is. He's going to knock someone's head off. Elizabeth is the first one that comes through the curtain. He makes the move, but the chair stops.
No.
Why does it stop? The Undertaker grabbed the chair. What? Undertaker grabbed it? And then Savage beats up Roberts, and that is basically the end of Savage and Roberts. But we now get this new feud with Roberts and Taker.
This is like Taker. This is like kind of when he first starts becoming babyface.
Yeah. So we get to the funeral parlor again, and Roberts asks the Undertaker, "Whose side are you on?" And again, this is another one I remember as a kid. So Paul Bearer puts the mic up on Undertaker's mouth, and he's like, "Not yours." And then
that's beautiful.
And then
good old Mark.
I know. And then Jake takes Paul's urn, throws it in the casket. Undertaker goes for the casket. Jake closes the lid shut on the casket. Undertaker is stuck. His hand is stuck in the casket.
Mm-hmm.
Jake delivers a DDT to Paul Bearer. And then Jake starts delivering these chair shots. Undertaker keeps coming. He drags the casket with his hand in the casket.
It was good stuff.
It is so good.
So good.
And I mean, I don't know if like this, I mean, you can fake a casket, obviously. Yeah. But if Undertaker's dragging an actual casket, because those things can weigh a lot.
Yeah, I'm sure there was ways around it, but it's still pretty impressive.
Yeah. So that leads us to the match at WrestleMania 8. And here, Jake cuts another good promo. And this time, we are told that all reptiles are banned from ringside.
Yeah, all reptiles are
all
banned.
Reptiles.
Not just snakes.
Yeah.
Just in case he had something in the bag instead.
So Roberts and Taker, they have their match. I like the match, honestly, like, because it's like you said, it's Undertaker, you know, starting as a face here.
Yep.
And this is kind of, and I want to say this right, it's kind of the culmination of Undertaker's turn. Yep. From being this heel who beat Hulk Hogan a few months prior for the world title to being a legit babyface.
Well, I think he was getting cheered all the time, no matter what, because his character was so cool.
Mm-hmm.
I remember being a kid cheering for the Undertaker. He was a bad guy, and he was an Undertaker. He shouldn't be cheered, but he was just so amazing.
You have no idea how disappointed I was when he beat Hogan for the title that night.
I was happy. Idea. I was so tired of Hogan at that point. I was honestly tired of him, and I wanted someone else to win. I didn't expect Undertaker to win.
Oh yeah, I kind of expected Undertaker to win. You mean against Roberts or Hogan?
Hogan.
I don't know. I
didn't expect it, but because Hogan didn't lose at Survivor Series, he
normally wins.
He'd win. He would win all the time. Like he never lost.
So Roberts loses to Undertaker, becomes his second victim of what would become the streak.
Yeah.
Little did we know at that time that would be his last match in the WWF for almost 4 years.
Yeah. And I didn't realize he ended right at WrestleMania. I thought he had a little bit longer.
Right at WrestleMania. And I didn't know about this till a few years ago, what basically led to Jake leaving. What happened was, I guess Vince had promised Jake when he was done or when he was getting older that he would have a position for him, you know, like as an agent, kind of like what Pat Patterson was.
Mm-hmm. Which would have been great because
his
mind for the matches and the business.
Yeah. Well, Roberts never got that opportunity. He never got that chance. And because of that, he leaves WWF after WrestleMania 8. And Jake has said that he has regretted that decision.
Yeah.
So, but I want to stay with Roberts a little bit more because I want to finish up his 92.
Yeah, sure.
Because that summer he debuts in this little promotion called World Championship Wrestling. And he makes a huge impact on his first night there because he attacks Sting.
Well, that's the guy you attack if you want to make an impact, right?
Exactly. And he, hits him with like 2 or 3 DDTs. And if you've ever seen the clip, Jim Ross sells the crap out of this.
Jim Ross is the greatest announcer of all time, so he can get anybody over.
And
commentary.
And this is a big thing that happens because the night that Roberts comes into WCW and attacks Sting is the same night Ron Simmons wins the world title.
Kind of a big night in wrestling, eh?
I know. Jake Roberts is a part of some of the biggest nights ever.
Yeah, Ron Simmons beating Vader. That was like one of the greatest moments.
That was a huge deal. Oh my God.
Yeah, the first African American champion. And yeah, even the commentary that Jim Ross had, just go back and watch it if you haven't seen it. Really good.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
So Roberts has his feud with Sting. They are part of an 8-man tag at a Clash of the Champions, which is their equivalent to Saturday night's main event.
Mm-hmm.
And Jake's team wins. They then start to build up their Halloween Havoc pay-per-view, which is their big fall event.
Mm-hmm.
The main event for that show is Jake Roberts and Sting. Let me say that again. Jake Roberts main events a pay-per-view in 1992. Deservedly so, I think.
Mm-hmm.
In a new gimmick called Spin the Wheel, Make the Deal. I'm going to take it you may have never heard of this gimmick.
No.
Okay. So I'm going to explain it to you.
Explain, please.
What it is there's this giant wheel, obviously. There are 12 different types of matches that are on this wheel. Whatever match the wheel stops at is going to be that match that night.
Okay.
So you could have had a steel cage match. You could have had a lumberjack match. Could have had a lights out match. You basically could have had any type of match that is a gimmick match. Well, they're kind of 0 for 1 on this gimmick that night. Because out of all the matches that they could have had for this show, and I've seen this show, it's a bad show. There's like one good match. Of all the matches that it could have landed on, they end up going with, I'm kind of glad I'm holding off on this. I'm kind of building the anticipation.
I'm on the edge of my seat here, man.
A coal miner's glove match.
Right. I have seen this. I totally see it fell out of my brain and then you just put it back in. Yeah, that was bad.
All of the choices that they could have had.
Was it like on a pole and you had to climb up and get it, and then if you hit them with it, then it was knockout punch? Okay. So
of all the things that it could have landed on, it lands on the coal miner's glove match.
That's up there with gimmick matches.
It is, but when you have a main event pay-per-view, I don't think coal miner's glove match.
No.
So obviously this match happens. End of the match. Cactus Jack comes out. Yes, Cactus Jack is associated with Jake at this point. He brings out a bag. There's a snake in there. Jake's going to use the snake. Well, Sting manages to grab the glove, punches Roberts with it, doesn't realize he has the snake. The snake is biting Jake Roberts, and Sting wins. And here's Jake. He's got this snake like right here.
Yep.
And he's trying to pull it off of him. And he can't. And apparently this is supposed to lead, to like later on. And, it's going to be like this big feud. And within a month, Jake is gone from the company. He leaves.
So is there like an accident happen here, or was it just a short-term deal and he decided was it for him?
I don't know.
Okay.
I mean, I don't see on Wikipedia why he left.
Yeah, I kind of forgot about this whole WCW run till you brought it up.
I think on the DVD that WWE put out, he said, like his wife kind of said, look, you either do the wrestling or you stay with us. And he chose his family. So that might have been a reason. I don't really know.
Okay. Well, I know that Jake's well-documented issues.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes that's what you think.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what happened, or.
And that's it for Jake's, 91 to 92. Like Well,
I was thinking since it's kind of a shorter show, if you'd like to transition and do 96, we can do that.
Well, I do want to mention, let's do that.
We can talk about is 96 is kind of short. He is in a major storyline in the middle that kind of changes a lot of stuff.
Yeah, and
Austin, and then, that we can talk about if you want.
Yeah, let's do that, because after that, I want to tell you something that I read yesterday that kind of gave me some hope and happiness for Jake.
Oh, okay.
So, and it also kind of lead into a plug of an event that's coming up real soon. But anyway,
cool.
So yes, Jake returns in 1996. He returns
at the Rumble, right?
Yep.
Now, was he a surprise entrant?
No.
Or like everyone knew about it?
Yeah, they knew. And he gets one of the louder pops.
Oh yeah.
Of that show. Because
one of my main memories of that Rumble, besides Shawn winning, which is kind of funny that we're talking about the 96 Rumble here, because that's kind of where we're going to start our Shawn Michaels show.
Yeah.
But is the stuff with Jerry Lawler and the big yellow snake.
Yes.
It kind of left an impression on me.
Yeah. So Jake returns, huge deal. And they give him a new gimmick. Well, I mean, he's still Jake the Snake.
Yeah.
But his new gimmick is that he's basically reborn. Because he mentions the alcohol, mentions, all the stuff that pretty much we all know by now.
Mm-hmm.
In the spring of 96, he's in the King of the Ring tournament. And he makes it all the way to the finals of the tournament. Because they're, doing like this big Cinderella story. Because we all know what happens, but the final four is Austin against Mark Merrow and Jake Roberts against Vader. And Vader's a monster heel at this time. We talked about him a couple weeks ago when we did the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
So Jake wins by DQ. He goes to the finals, but Vader beat him up after the match.
Yep.
Austin, meanwhile, legit has gone to the hospital to get stitches in his lips.
Oh yeah, Merrow. Was it a knee or something?
Something like that.
Both guys are banged up pretty good.
Yeah. So Austin wins. He beats Roberts. Yep. And Jake, kind of by accident, is part of the beginning of the rise of Austin.
Oh yeah.
Because
Yeah, I always thought that Austin should give Jake some royalties for Austin's 316.
Mm-hmm.
As the promo, he asked Michael Hayes, "What did Jake say?"
Right.
And then he said, "Oh, Jake had a like a religious themed promo."
Mm-hmm.
And then that's where
Austin
the Austin
316.
316 promo comes from.
Right.
It wasn't something that Vince McMahon wrote and scripted. It was all Austin came up with it, but
Yeah.
it was pretty
So
cool.
after that, we get into the angle with Jake and Jerry Lawler.
Yeah.
And this is kind of an uncomfortable storyline.
Yeah, it's pretty bad, honestly. And looking back on it now,
yeah,
he's pouring bourbon and stuff in his mouth, and
mm-hmm.
and I think he was trying to quit at this time. Like I know it was on the storyline he was recovering, but
mm-hmm.
not sure exactly if he was trying to quit. But if you're in that situation and then you're in a storyline
Mm-hmm.
talking about booze and having someone pour alcohol down your throat, like I'm hoping that it wasn't real bourbon, like maybe it was iced tea or something, but hard to say. Yeah, it wasn't a good angle. I didn't like it.
So they have a match at SummerSlam that year, and Jerry wins the match. After the match, Lawler grabs this big jar. I guess it's bourbon or something. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And he starts pouring it into Jake.
Yeah.
And they somehow continued the storyline for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
And I think, well, okay, there's like one or two ways we could say that it ended. They have a match on Raw, like a few months later. And Jake comes out and, he looks like, and the announcers are like, oh no, he's hit the bottle. Oh no.
Yeah.
And I actually just saw this recently. And like Gorilla Monsoon, who's the president at the time, comes out, a couple referees are there, and Jerry's like, oh, I've got him. This is easy. And then Jake's like, I'm okay. I'm actually okay.
Yeah.
So they have the match. Jake gets the win.
Yeah, he was messing with him.
Yeah. And then they meet again at Survivor Series. Jake hits a DDT on Lawler, eliminates him from the match.
Yeah.
And Jake's, actually, I have it here. He has a match, or he's in the Royal Rumble, gets eliminated by Austin.
In 97.
In 97.
Yeah.
He's not in there long.
Yeah, I didn't remember him in 97 in WWE, so.
And his last match with the WWF was on Shotgun Saturday Night on January 25th, where he beat Salvatore Sincere. That is his last match in the WWF.
Yeah.
Now, I want to get to some good news that I've recently seen with Jake. And it gives me hope, folks, because we need hope in this world sometimes. So a few months back, I saw a poster on the internet, because that's where you see posters nowadays. You don't actually see a poster anymore.
I actually saw posters at Walmart.
Oh,
I'm like, oh, what do I do with this?
I know.
Yeah.
So
it's pretty cool.
So this is for an 80s wrestling convention that's happening in a few weeks.
Cool.
When I saw this, my mind was blown because they advertised, and I think it's like, I know the show is happening, and I think this is also happening. They advertised Jake Roberts and his ex-wife Cheryl Roberts being there.
Okay.
Why that's a big deal is because there was a feud in, I want to say it was like 88 with Rick Rude and Jake Roberts, and it was about Jake's wife, Cheryl.
Yeah.
And I mean,
yeah,
Cheryl Roberts is a beautiful looking woman. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, I don't know how they were able to get that, but I'm like, oh, I wish I could go to this.
Yeah.
Then I read this news over the weekend, and again, DK, this gives me hope. This gives me hope.
All right, let's hear it.
Jake and Cheryl are currently dating.
That is fantastic.
That is wonderful. Like his ex-wife, and because they were married for a long time, had kids.
Well, he had a lot of issues, and I think like we're not doing his whole life in this podcast, but the DDP stuff really helped him. The resurrection of Jake the Snake Roberts, I recommend watching it.
Yes,
so great. He helps Scott Hall in there too, and we just lost Scott Hall a little bit ago, but yeah. So that's really cool to hear that he's back together with his ex, and hopefully he can keep it going.
Maybe, who knows? Maybe they get married again.
Yeah,
because I mean,
hopefully it's not on Monday Night Raw though.
No. Well, Jake's currently with
won't go over well.
Well, Jake's with AEW right now, so but I don't think they're going to do that wedding. If they do get, if they end up married again, I don't think they're going to get married on Dynamite.
There was some now as we close the Jake the Snake portion of the show. I heard a story. I wonder if you could shed some light. I heard Bret Hart signed a contract with WWE this weekend.
Yes.
What is that referring to? Is he going to be like just an ambassador or something, or do you happen to know the details?
Because I had read for a while that AEW was trying to sign Bret to a contract to basically be a manager. And they were going to be the manager, or he was going to be the manager of FTR. Some of you might remember them as the Revival. Yeah. Which, would have been really cool.
So Vince signed him so he doesn't go there, basically.
Yeah, kind of. I'm not sure the exact details. It might be, like you said, it might be an ambassador deal. Could be
where you can show up on TV once in a while, maybe as a referee or something, or a commissioner or something like that. It'd be, I don't know, it'd be kind of cool to see Bret. Obviously, he wouldn't wrestle ever again, but as a personality.
And what's kind of disappointing in that is AEW is going to start up real soon the Owen Hart tournament. That, they made this deal with Martha, and it's going to help the Owen Hart Foundation, and this has been in the works for a long time, and
which is awesome.
Yeah, which is terrific. And it was like, oh, maybe Brad and Martha have maybe I don't know.
Well, I don't know. That's a tough one.
Yeah, I don't want to dive too much into that, but Brett is going back to WWE. I'm not sure how often we're going to see him. Probably not as often. Maybe, like you said, he'll make appearances here and there. Yeah. Maybe do, like the Access conventions, WrestleMania weekend, and all that other stuff. But
yeah, it's kind of a lifetime contract, so he could just show up once in a while and make a decent living.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, I just remember reading that, and I was like, I was going to ask you about it and see if you knew a little bit more than I did. So
I don't know. I thought he was making pretty good living, for a while, but
yeah, well, I'm sure he is.
Yeah,
he used to have a column. He had a column in the newspaper here locally.
Yeah, I remember hearing about that.
Which was always fun to read. And then pretty much around November '97, he stopped writing. I don't remember what happened then. I think he got a little busy. Maybe he didn't want to write about wrestling anymore because he was all mad. But all jokes aside,
right?
Yeah. And we will talk about that incident on next week's episode.
Yes.
Shawn Michaels. I'm excited, buddy. I lost the poll and I still found a way to talk about it, so it's all good.
Yeah.
That
It
was
is.
like overwhelming. There must be a lot of Jake lovers.
I
I'm looking forward
know.
to seeing the views of this
I
show.
I was very surprised. Like I told you last week, I was like, I was expecting Shawn to win, and I was like, okay, I'm just gonna pick Jake Roberts just to have somebody.
Somebody just throw him in there.
Mhm.
Okay.
But
Who's going to
no,
win this? And then that somehow just a massive comeback.
yeah. I mean, good.
Not even a comeback. It was just a beatdown.
It was a one. It was one-sided. It
It's
was.
the number one, like the most polls for one person that we've ever had on the show.
Mm-hmm.
Now I got the poll out there on multiple platforms, so we had
Yeah.
like lots of people looking at it, which was awesome to see. And we have a few more members in the Facebook group, which is good to see as well.
And I want to mention, I wanted to say this in the last episode, but I didn't think it was the time to say it, but I'll mention it anyway.
Okay.
We had a write-in vote on that.
Yeah, that was my
your dad.
That was my dad.
Yeah, I figured it was your dad.
I was like, you can't be adding wrestlers. You're not the producer of the show here. They're a Big G.
But maybe we do
1962 to 80.
60. I'm not that comfortable with 1962.
Yeah,
I have to do a lot of research on that.
Yes, that would be it. And you know what? I will reach out to him because he's going to be actually visiting me here in a week or so.
All right.
I'm going to ask him about this wrestler, and maybe he'll join us down the line.
I would like to be educated.
Yeah.
That. I've heard the name. I
used to watch wrestling with my dad when I was younger.
Yeah.
And we had some good stories about going to Maple Leaf Gardens for house shows back in the day before I moved out west.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would have to do my research on that too.
But yeah, join the Facebook group, DK and Bill Wrestling Podcast. That's all you got to type in. Pretty easy. Invite
it's a
your
public. You don't even have to answer any membership questions. You just join, and then you're in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
next
and invite your friends.
Yes.
We just want to get the content out.
Tell your friends. Tell your family. Tell your coworkers. Tell them all.
Yep.
So next week, like DK said, we're going to be talking about Shawn Michaels. This is one that we've both been wanting to do for a while, in the time frame that we've wanted to do for a while, 96 to 98. Could bring back good memories, might not bring back good memories.
It's kind of like the the beginning of Bret and Shawn, kind of real life battling over that top spot in the company, and some hurt feelings and some Shawn not being the nicest guy.
Exactly.
And that's the understatement of the century. The biggest jerk off in wrestling from 96 to 98.
Yes, in that time frame. Yes.
Shawn has said that.
Yeah.
So I just finished his second book.
Yeah.
It was a little bit too preachy for me. His first one was a lot more wrestling oriented. The second one is there is a lot of wrestling in it, but it's a lot of spiritual and stuff, how he got his life fixed up. So I recommend both books, but yeah, it's a little preachy.
Okay.
If you guys are okay with that, check it out. I definitely recommend it.
All right. Well, thank you guys for checking us out, and come back next week for another episode of the DK and Bill Wrestling Podcast.
Have a great day, guys.